This image is pure nightmare fuel for Caitlin Clark's haters because deep down, they know everything just changed. They thought they had her beat. Caitlin was struggling, sidelined by injury, and the Fever were spiraling. Diana Taurasi's reality is coming. Prophecy looked like it was finally coming true. The haters smelled blood and started taking cheap shots. But then the Fever shocked everyone by winning the Commissioner's Cup and flipped the script entirely. No one saw it coming, especially not ESPN, who completely embarrassed themselves during the broadcast. We'll get to that. This win didn't just revive a team, it reshaped their entire season in 3 major ways, which I'll break down in this video. But here's what we've learned. The more Caitlin succeeds, the louder the backlash gets. And her post-game comments. Don't be surprised if they turn out to be prophetic. Now let's talk about what really happened, how the haters reacted, and what this means going forward. But first, drop A in the comments if you're celebrating this dub. This is the version of the Fever fans envisioned at the start of the season, title hopefuls, big-name signings, and the Bold Now You Know campaign that basically said, "We run this league." Caitlin came back jacked, torched the sky in front of 2.7 million viewers, and then chaos hit. A hate speech investigation, 5 games missed, to injury, Dana Office Space Evans deciding she was done trying, and brutal games against the Liberty and Storm. Then came Gladiator Night at Gamebridge, where Caitlin took MMA punishment with 0 protection from the refs. Her late-game injury against Seattle took her out of the Commissioner's Cup final, which made their win over the Lynx all the more stunning. That's what made ESPN's on-air blunder one of the biggest cell phones in recent memory.
ESPN posted, I think around the 3rd quarter, at least that's when I was notified about it, that the Lynx dominate the Fever to win the Commissioner's Cup. And I took a screenshot. This is totally my screenshot, so I went and I verified this because I just couldn't.
I verified this myself. They really left that title up the entire game and only changed it after the final buzzer. Completely insane. But while ESPN embarrassed themselves on live TV, the Fever stepped up without Caitlin Clark and proved exactly what they're made of. They fell behind early, then ripped off an 18-0 run and never looked back. Everyone stepped up, but Natasha Howard. She called her shot, said she wanted to be MVP and then went out and earned it. That's manifestation. With receipts, the Fever basically pulled an Uno reverse card on ESPN, dominating the 14-2 Lynx on their own floor without Caitlin in the lineup. And the haters. They completely unraveled not just because the Fever won, but because Caitlin, without playing a single minute, now has a championship on her resume.
The only strike against Caitlin Clark is that she has not won a national championship. And that is the only thing that you can put against her.
You see, the go-to criticism against Caitlin Clark has always been that she hadn't won a championship. That's the convenient excuse. ESPN used to leave her off their top 5 college players of all time list even, though she shattered records, and carried a mid-level program to back-to-back national title games. And while the whole Caitlin versus Angel Reese rivalry has lost its meaning, because let's be real, they're not even close in terms of talent or impact, haters have clung to the idea that Angel is superior simply because she's a winner, citing her LSU title and that unrivaled tournament trophy. It's been the biggest crutch in the anti-Caitlin argument. But with this Commissioner's Cup win, that storyline collapsed. Of course, the haters are already in spin mode, saying it's not a real championship, and, even worse, that it doesn't count because Caitlin didn't play in the final. But let's be honest, that's garbage logic. Here's why.
They did win the final without it. But it's not like she's Nikola Topic or anything. The only reason they got to the final was because she had a 32-point near triple-double against the New York Liberty. They beat the previously undefeated New York Liberty after a Caitlin Clark masterclass in a game no one thought they were going to win.
Caitlin was the reason the Fever even reached the Commissioner's Cup final. She lit up the Liberty and played a pivotal role in the win over the Sun, setting the tone and helping secure Indiana's spot in the championship. Her impact was undeniable, but of course, the haters can't handle that. And the award for saltiest tears goes to those now claiming the game was rigged. That's right, once the Caitlin can't win narrative completely fell apart. They didn't reflect or give credit, they pivoted straight to conspiracy theories. It's honestly impressive how fast the goalposts move when Caitlin Clark proves them wrong.
The real fans, alright? Capitalize the real fans of the W will find out what backroom deal YouTube made to have the Lynx throw this game. Not even cracking 60 points. That isn't even believable to the most naked eye. If we find out, we're coming for your jobs. Full force.
What's hilarious is the selective logic on full display. These are the same people who loudly celebrated Angel Reese's unrivaled Championship of Pro title, Sure, but nowhere near the level or structure of the WNBA, even though Angel didn't play in the final or even show up to the arena. That didn't stop fans, media, and the narrative machine from handing her a second championship and using it to tear down Caitlin Clark for still having 0 rings. But now Caitlin plays a crucial role in getting the Fever to the Commissioner's Cup final, dropping dimes against the Liberty, making key plays against the Sun, and helping secure that title shot Dan suddenly. Because she didn't play in the final, it doesn't count. And now they're calling it rigged. Sure, Jan, what really has them rattled is that the Fever just beat the 1-for-2. Lynx, the best team in the league, on the road without Caitlin in the lineup. That's not just a win, it's a statement. Natasha Howard showed out like an MVP, Sophie Cunningham hit clutch shots, and Lexi and Aaliyah continued to shine. The Fever aren't flawless. And yes, fans still have every right to criticize coaching, but for the first time in a long time, this team's headed in the right direction. First, this win takes the edge off the Fever in the best way possible because, as the saying goes, winning solves everything. Sophie Cunningham recently admitted the team felt like they were on their own islands, but nothing pulls a group together like a championship, even if it's not the big one. Beating 2 of the league's top teams, the Liberty and the Lynx, restored their confidence. And while perfection isn't expected moving forward, the swagger is clearly back. With Ari McDonald now in the mix full-time, this team is far more dynamic than it was with Bonner, who, let's be honest, is now Bonner the Goner. Second, this win gives Caitlin Clark something invaluable: time. There was growing speculation from that the Fever rushed her to play injured at the start of the season and maybe brought her back too soon. But now, with this win under their belt, there's no need to rush her again. They can stay playoff relevant without her for a few more games or even weeks. And fans have been begging the team to give her that extra recovery window. You saw this mindset shift when they announced a day in advance that she'd missed the Aces game rather than waiting and listing her as a game-time decision. Third, when Caitlin does come back fully healthy, she'll return to a team that's already winning. With Ari settled and they can phase Caitlin back gradually instead of burning her out and risking re-injury by leaning on her too hard too soon. And as a bonus, this win puts the Fever back in the contender conversation. They've got cap space, and that means they're now in position to pull off a meaningful trade to strengthen the roster. All of this is absolute nightmare fuel for the haters who were loving Caitlin's slump and made sure she knew it, anonymously but unanimously.
Caitlin Clark finished 9th in player voting. In fact, she finished behind one of her own teammates in player voting for the All-Star game. The pettiness has no bounds.
Look, there are plenty of excuses floating around trying to explain why players ranked Caitlin Clark as the 9th best guard in All-Star voting. And sure, we know they didn't literally rank her 9th. But let's not pretend the result doesn't speak volumes. This wasn't just a snub, it felt like a message. Caitlin is being double-teamed night after night, still putting up strong numbers, all while dealing with injuries and the pressure of carrying a franchise as a rookie. Yes, she's had a few off games likely due to playing hurt, but come on, this looks a lot more like a coordinated hit than honest evaluation. Let's be real, there is no reality where Caitlin Clark is the 9th best guard in the WNBA. This wasn't about performance, it was about politics, resentment, and gatekeeping.
America loves her. The fans clearly love her. The media likes her. But the players can't stand her. 9th best guard in the league. Don't try to give me the excuses of, well, she's been struggling lately, or she missed some games with injury. Come on. This is insanity. And I think it's an activist vote by the women of the WNBA who simply cannot stand her success. It's so dumb and it's so childish.
They were sending a message loud and clear, and for a while, it looked like they had Caitlin Clark on the ropes. But with the Fever's Commissioner's Cup win, everything shifted. Now Caitlin gets time to fully recover. The team is playing with confidence, and the momentum has completely flipped. The haters, they're rattled, but not because they're afraid to play her. The real fear is what a peak Caitlin Clark and a dominant Fever team represent. Unstoppable attention, record-breaking viewership, packed arenas, and a tidal wave of new fans flooding into the league. And here's the uncomfortable truth: while that should be a massive win for everyone, some within the WNBA ecosystem don't want it. They don't want to share the spotlight. They'd rather gatekeep the game than let it evolve. It's irrational, but it's real, and that mindset isn't just petty, it's self-destructive. Because if growth, visibility, and financial success aren't welcome, then what exactly are we doing here?
To the NBA, but I do feel like the pay gap would be something that, we could just take a donation around the NBA. Maybe one night y'all don't go to the casino.
I have something on that stuff because it pisses me off. it pisses me off because I don't think there's anyone in America that supports the WNBA more than NBA players.
100%.
This isn't a new clip, but it nails the mindset perfectly. For nearly 3 decades, the NBA has poured hundreds of millions into the WNBA without ever seeing a return, and, without that support, the league likely wouldn't have survived. Even last year, with Caitlin Clark injecting unprecedented interest, the W still lost $40 million. The league has been riding NBA training wheels, staying upright no matter how much it wobbles. Caitlin presented a rare opportunity to finally take those wheels off and build something sustainable. But just like learning to ride a bike, it comes with bruises. In this case, those bruises are coming from casual fans who aren't here to blindly celebrate women's basketball. They're here to be entertained, and they'll criticize players like any other sports fans do. We see it with Angel Reese, getting called out for missed rebounds or inefficient play. The Lisa Leslie clip really shines a light on the deeper issue. Some players have grown too comfortable in a system where profitability didn't matter, creating hubris and a false sense of entitlement instead of focusing on growth or repaying decades of investment. Some are already threatening strikes, wrongly assuming those casual fans will return no matter what. But the truth is, some of them don't want those fans back because, deep down, they preferred the old WNBA, where the lights weren't this bright and the stakes weren't this high.
And in talking to a source or two, it appears that Bonner was unable to, in some way, shape, or form, just deal with that spotlight, which is right?
Yeah.
It is.
I have a feeling this is the case for a lot of players. If it's not the crowds, it's the online trolls, the relentless media coverage, and the heightened scrutiny that comes with playing under the spotlight Caitlin Clark helped create. Some players clearly aren't comfortable with the pressure, the criticism, or the responsibility that comes with a booming fan base and record-breaking viewership. But then there's this: some of them don't just resent the attention, they resent who is getting it.
That's the worst part of all this, is the new fans are sucking the life out of the WNBA right now. It's just the truth. You are right. You are right, new fans. There has never been more viewership because of Caitlin Clark. There's never been more attention. They're doing 40 minutes on First Take about Caitlin Clark. They never did that before, as Monica McNutt called out. You're right. You know what there was in the WNBA last year and the years prior? There was other storylines. There was joy. There was talk of competition. There was talk of what was actually happening on.
There are players, fans, and even members of the media who just can't stand that it's Caitlin Clark all the time. They think others deserve equal spotlight, and it's not simply the amount of attention that bothers them, it's who is getting it. This goes beyond jealousy. It's a deeper resentment tied to the fact that Caitlin Clark doesn't match the image some people envisioned as the face of the WNBA. Her rise has disrupted the established hierarchy, and for those invested in the old guard, that disruption is more threatening than the spotlight itself.
It's interesting, for years, the WNBA players were pointing fingers. They were saying people are sexist, the media is sexist, we're not being promoted, we're underappreciated. And then they get the golden goose and they don't like what it looks like. Iowa girl, Indiana girl. Well, who knows, and I've said this for years, when the wave hits, ride it. You don't know what it looks like.
All of this feeds into a clear and growing Caitlin Clark and the Fever versus the WNBA dynamic. The tension isn't subtle, it's simmering out in the open. Caitlin knows it, her teammates know it, and fans definitely feel it. From cold shoulders in pregame intros to blatant double standards in media narratives and officiating, it's obvious she's navigating a league that often feels more hostile than welcoming. And if you still had doubts, just replay Caitlin's post-game comments after the Commissioner's Cup win. It wasn't just celebration, it was a sharp, intentional message. She sees the politics, she feels the divide, and she's not pretending otherwise.
Started the year talking about them being a contender for a WNBA championship, and if anything, tonight what I learned is they have what it takes. I mean, they played 5 of their last 6 games on the road coming in here, and if you can win games on the road like they did, in an environment like they won in tonight, the sky's really the limit. And this is a team that's starting to get their confidence, they're showing their depth.
They're sick over it, furious. Even these are the same players who voted Caitlin Clark as the 9th-ranked guard in All-Star voting, when anyone looking at the stats, impact, and attention she brings knows she's easily top 3. The haters aren't just annoyed, they're panicking, and with no reality check on the horizon to force players, media, or critics to admit the truth, the hate is only going to intensify. The physical hits will keep coming, and sadly, the refs will likely keep swallowing the whistle. That's why Caitlin's post-game words didn't just sound confident, they felt prophetic. Because, with the Fever officially back in the title conversation, the spotlight on her is only going to burn brighter. And so will the backlash from those who can't handle it.
Guys, I can show everybody
The Fever are stronger after everything they've been through, and they'll need to be, because the WNBA's soft civil war isn't fading anytime soon. The tension, the resentment, the growing divides, all still bubbling beneath the surface. For Caitlin Clark and the Fever, there's only one real way to shut it all down. Keep winning. They've already grabbed the first trophy of the 2025 season with the Commissioner's Cup. Now the path forward is clear. Go get the next one. If you enjoyed this video, drop A in the comments. You've earned it for riding with us to the end. Thanks for watching. See you next time.